Hi, everybody. Welcome to this event with Shannon Hale and LeUyen Pham. They know a kitty who wants to be a unicorn, and they're going to tell us all about it with their book, Itty-Bitty Kitty-Korn. That's fun to say, Itty-Bitty Kitty-Korn. Shannon and LeUyen are best friends, which I think is super special because I love my best friends. They are also both moms of genius kids, wives to book creating husbands, caretakers of cats, and believers in unicorns. LeUyen lives in Los Angeles, Shannon lives in Utah, and they visit each other as often as they can. Best friends forever. Enjoy the presentation.
Hello. Hi. I'm Shannon Hale, and I'm coming to you from Utah.
And I'm LeUyen Pham. I'm coming to you from Los Angeles. And as is always, we're so used to how messed up Zoom can be. We're going to be talking over each other constantly throughout this, and you get to experience that. Woohoo!
Hey, the whole time. It'll be awesome. We're here for Itty-Bitty Kitty-Korn.
Itty Kitty-Korn. Now you get to see a double on the screen.
So pretty. There's glitter on it. Don't you want to touch it?
There's a backside too. Look at her little
Kitty Mom. Wynn and I love this book. So Wynn, LeUyen, I call her Wynn. You can call her Wynn. We are best friends, and we have been making books individually for about 20 years. And we've been making books together for like 8 years.
No, 10 years.
10 years?
10 years. No, 8 years. 8 years. Sorry. It's in my head. It's all over the place.
I don't know. But some of the books you may know that Wynn and I do together are the Princess in Black books. Da, da, da.
She's my favorite. She's my favorite because she's like a superhero and she can do all these cool things, and she's got cool gadgets and knows how to, attack monsters without hurting them at all. She's very, very kind to the monsters.
She is the best.
Yeah.
This one has a sea monster in it.
Yeah.
So Princess in Black books, that's me, Shannon Hale. I write the words with my husband, Dean Hale, and we write all of the words inside the book and make up the general story. And then when we're all done, we send it to LeUyen, and LeUyen then spends a lot of time making these gorgeous watercolor paintings for every single page. So you never have to be bored. You can look at a beautiful painting every single page.
I always love how Shannon describes her books as though they're absolutely nothing without the art, which I really want to believe is true, but I'm pretty sure you guys would read her books even without my pictures in them. But my guess when she and Dean are writing these books is that they sit and they come up with the hardest thing in the world to draw. And it's like they must have a bulletin board of them, and then they just throw darts and say, which one are we going to make her draw this time? Ooh, a monster that disappears with everything. Ooh, a monster that's covered with soap and dirt and gunk. And I have to come up with it. So
I was surprised, actually, because I'm not an artist. I would never have predicted that this one would be the most difficult to illustrate. But Wynn told me that The Princess in Black and the Bath Time Battle, which is book number 7, was very, very tricky. The monster in this book is super, super stinky and hasn't had a bath in a long time. And it's just covered in goo and garbage.
Yeah, I have to admit, I got my husband to help me with that one. My
husband. Did he model for it?
He did. No.
Did you get my joke?
No, they're always fun and they're always a challenge, and but it's fun because knowing Shannon and Dean, all I want to do is I want to make them laugh when I send my drawings over. So it's always fun to get the emails back and where they say, we love it, we love what you're doing, they're so funny. There's
It's so great. My girls, when they saw, I have 4 kids at home. And when my youngest were reading this, when the first time they saw the monster, this is kind of a spoiler, but I'll show you. The first time they saw the monster in this book, after it had a bath, they squealed. They could not stop screaming. We had to just sit there for like 10 minutes. They wouldn't let me turn the page and keep reading the story. They had to just stare at that picture. So that was a lot of fun. Wynn and I do together, we do the Princess and Black books.
Mhm.
And you know what? Got a
I have it.
penguin.
I have it. I have it.
I got to show you. She was meowing. Hello. There's sweet kitten. Yeah, there's the other one. We also do Real Friends and Best Friends.
Yeah, which is a lot of fun. See, everyone can see Shannon when she was a little kid. I never know where my camera is. There it is. See Shannon? Look at her. She's all alone in the top of the roller coaster. She looks terrified. Poor girl. And she's still terrified.
I still terrified a lot. And don't put me in a roller coaster. Those books, we've got the third one coming out in August. And those are true stories about me when I was little. They're graphic novels. And about my friendship troubles and about having an anxiety disorder and having living in my daydreams and in my imagination since I was growing up. So again, with those, I don't only write the words in there, I have to write the descriptions of all the pictures, because when you write a graphic novel, you have to tell the illustrator what's happening in each panel. Each panel is each little square or rectangle. And so most of what I write in that you don't see in the book, only LeUyen sees it. And then she spends a lot time drawing all those pictures, which is an enormous amount of work. And she just finished doing the illustrations for the third one.
Mhm.
So she has feelings about it.
The last book was 280 pages. Now, guys, let's do the math here, okay?
And you average 6 panels a page too. I mean,
they're not panels a page, 280 pages. That's over 1,500 drawings that has to be done for each of those books. Yeah. It's a lot. And they're 1,500 little panels. Almost all of them have Shannon's little face on them. I know. So I can draw Shannon really, really well by now. I'm
sad, worried, I'm scared. And you're so good at it. But our newest one, is just joy. Itty-Bitty Kitty-Korn. Should we read Itty-Bitty Kitty-Korn?
I think we're going to read Itty-Bitty Kitty-Korn. And you want to know something? I think we don't even have to read it. It's going to read all by itself. You ready? Here we go.
A video.
Itty-Bitty Kitty-Korn. Kitty thinks she might be a unicorn. A horn sits atop her fuzzy head, pointing up to the sky. She feels so perfectly unicorny. Look at me, says Kitty.
You're not a unicorn, Putty Pie,
says Parakeet.
You're curled up like a cat, Fluffy Fry,
says Gecko. Kitty stands tall. She prances on her pod-clawed unicorn hooves. She gallops on her eensy-weensy unicorn legs. Look at me, says Kitty.
You're still not a unicorn, Fuzzy Hiney,
says Parakeet.
You have a stubby tail, Teeny Tiny,
says Gecko. Kitty closes her eyes. She concentrates and poof, her tail puffs up fat. Look at me, says Kitty.
You're never going to be a unicorn, Funny Foo,
says Parakeet.
You meow in your sleep, Miffy Moo,
says Gecko. Nay, says Kitty. She sticks her pink nose in their ears in case they didn't hear. Nay, nay, nay!
You're a cat,
says Parakeet.
And that's that,
says Gecko. Still, Kitty's unicorn heart beats harder. She lifts her front hoof and sweeps her magnificent tail. The sun is low. The shadows are long. At last, she looks exactly how she feels. Ha ha! Look at me now, she yells.
Wow,
says Parakeet, astonished.
Ooh,
says Gecko, impressed. Finally, they see me, thinks Kitty.
Until clop, clop, clop.
Gecko points with his fat-tipped finger.
Now that's a unicorn.
The unicorn brandishes his horn. He sweeps his magnificent tail. He neighs a mighty
neigh.
Suddenly, Kitty feels no bigger than a ball of lint.
Flop, flop, flop. Pardon me,
Says Unicorn. Yes, squeaks Kitty.
I so admire your fuzzy ears and silver whiskers, says Unicorn.
You do? Says Kitty.
And I wondered,
Unicorn looks right and then looks left.
did you know?
What? Says Kitty.
Did you know?
Says Unicorn, whispering now. What? What? Yells Kitty.
Did you know
Says Unicorn.
that I am a kitty-corn?
Kitty gasps. Her tiny tail twitches with joy. Yes, says Kitty. I see that now. You are a kitty-corn. You are a fuzzy, furry, adorable kitty-corn. Unicorn nods.
I knew that another kitty-corn like you would see.
Yes, says Kitty. I see you.
Kitty and Unicorn are both kitty-corns.
Kitty trots on her soft, teeny paws, and Unicorn pads on his huge golden hooves.
They both like to toss their manes and brandish their horns.
They both like to scamper after bumblebees and stretch out in a patch of grass.
And when the sun is low, their shadows merge till you can no longer tell one from the other.
Yay! That's our little kitty corn. Kitty Korn was born by both me and Wynn. We were traveling together. And we came up with the idea. We were actually doing school visits for one of our other books, and we were between school visits. We were in a coffee shop working, and we came up with the idea together at the same time, side by side. And that's really unusual with picture books. Usually one person comes up with the other idea and writes it, and then the other person comes in later and draws it. But this we came up with together, and it makes it a really special story about a story about friendship that two friends came up with together. So Wynn has here some of the early, the very first sketch you ever did.
Yeah, well, we got to tell the story of how we did this sketch because you guys have to hear the story. So we were on tour, meaning we were going around visiting schools, talking about another book. And Shannon and I we were at a coffee shop. We were waiting between school visits, and we were both working on other books because, you know, we're very busy people. We're constantly working, even when we're not seeing you guys. And I was sitting sketching on my little iPad, and Shannon was sitting typing on her computer. And we were talking about just making something ridiculously funny, silly, cute, and how hard that would be. And we both started laughing, and we started saying, wouldn't it be funny if we took the cutest thing in the world, like a little kitty, and we combined her with the most adorable, beautiful creature in the world, a unicorn. And we just called it Kitty-Korn. And I remember we were both laughing, and we both thought this was kind of a silly thing. And I started drawing again, supposed to be working. Shannon was supposed to be working. And I couldn't stop thinking of this little thing we had come up with. And I drew what you see right in front of you right now is this little sketch of this kitten. And I didn't know it, but while I was drawing this, Shannon, what were you doing?
I couldn't get the idea out of my head. And so I started writing a little story about this kitty who wants to be a unicorn, and then what happened when a unicorn showed up, and how her friends treated her and what they thought of her. Did they see her the way she saw herself? And the idea of it was so interesting to me that I was just over there typing ideas, even though I wasn't supposed to be. I was supposed to be working on something else.
We're always getting in trouble. We're doing things we're not supposed to be doing with each other. But I couldn't stop drawing this little kitten. And in fact, when I showed it to Shannon, I was kind of embarrassed. I'm like, Shannon, I have something to show you. I hope you don't mind. And I held it up, and she's like, oh, Wynn, I have something to show you. And she holds up the first version of Kitty-Korn. And we both started laughing. And then we stopped doing the work we were supposed to do. And we started working on this while we were drinking our coffee. And these are actually some of the first sketches I ever did. In the beginning, do you remember, Shannon? We didn't know what color we wanted Kitty-Korn to be.
We weren't sure, yeah. So I think pink was the very first color you tried, and then you were like, let's try blue. And then we tried, it was kind of a greenish blue, wasn't it? And then we tried brown just to see if that worked better. And then we were in Canada Like the next day we were in Canada and there were some teenage boys that were friends of your friends that we were like showing the pictures to, and they were like, oh, it's got to be pink. Yeah, pink is really cool.
So I started finalizing the sketches, and this was the version of Kitty-Korn I finally came up with. And this is the really cool part about doing a book with someone who's such a good friend of yours, is that Shannon and I are always joking about making picture books, and Shannon's always saying, pictures are so important for a picture book. And I'm always saying writing is so important for a picture book. I wish I could write. And Shannon's saying, I wish I could draw. And we decided for this book, we would try to do as much as we could, both of us, of doing a little bit of each. So while Shannon didn't sit there and draw, she would say things like, make her eyes bigger, fluffier, and that was, I think, your number one request was to make her fluffier and fluffier and fluffier, and make her head bigger and bigger, and to the point where I'm pretty sure Kitty could not stand without falling over because her head is so big. But I would do that, and I would listen to everything she would say, and I would just try to make it like the way we were both seeing it. And the same way that she was writing the story, each time I'd be like, no, that doesn't happen in the story. This is what happens in the story. And she would be like, okay, let's do it that way. And we just went back and forth. And I don't think we can tell who did what. Like we both
all so merged.
Really made this together. I mean, look, Shannon, you should put your head up halfway in the screen, and I'll put my head up halfway in the screen. And that's what our brain is like. We're just mixed half together.
We do share a brain. And that was what was so fun about this. And even though we live in different states, we tried to get together as we were revising it as much as possible, either when we took trips together or Wynn came out and visited and stayed with me. Oh, here's the very first unicorn. He's changed quite a bit.
And Shannon's first response for this was, make his hair longer, give him a really long mane. And I kept thinking,
really? 80s hair, yes.
Yeah. So that's what we ended up doing for Unicorn, giving him a very, very long permed mane hair. And we're going to show you guys something that nobody has seen yet. I'm not even sure I'm supposed to show this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's ours. We made these really fun little posters of Kitty-Korn and Unicorn
in different styles. Aren't they wonderful?
Styles.
Oh, that's not even the final version.
No, this is the early version. I did all this stuff to it to make it look shiny, like it belongs on a cover on a movie poster or something.
Glitter.
Yeah, and these, if you look really closely, it's not two fairies; it's Gecko and Parakeet as fairies.
Oh, I love it so much.
And I even did sort of a Hello Kitty version.
Yeah.
Which
I love that.
We turned into little cookies too. But this was so much fun because drawing these characters, I had Shannon with me all the time, and it was just, I don't know, it was just so much fun to do this. This is a book where if you didn't do it, if I didn't do it with my best friend, I don't know if I'd have as much fun doing it. And it was all about just making her laugh. Like anything I could do to make her laugh was that's it. We got it. She's laughing now.
So much of working on a book is working alone. And so to get to do a project with somebody else where you're calling each other and she's texting me pictures and I'm just thrilling at the pictures and I'm texting her back, and then I read her a line and she's like, wait, this is a funnier word for that line. And I'm like, yes, you're right. And just back and forth of just a true collaboration.
Yeah. And I want to say that this is what happens all the time when you make books, but I got to tell you, this never happens.
This is very unique.
It's really, really unique. And I'm so lucky I've got a unicorn in my life.
She says I'm a unicorn, but
she is a unicorn.
She's the unicorn.
No, she's the unicorn. She look how tiny she is over there. I'm just like, I want to be a unicorn. Gosh, we even have these early sketches from the book.
So these are your thumbnails. These were your for the. So when you're first doing a book, before you're trying to decide the layout. So she does sketches of each page to show, very rough sketches to show like where the characters would be on the page. And then we try it with the words and see if it fits. And so it's changed somewhat, but quite a lot of this is the same thing.
Quite a lot. In fact, when I came up with all these sketches, I was sitting right next to Shannon. You remember this, Shannon? This was one of the rare times where I was able to come out, and I just sat next to her and said, what do you think? We can do this here and we'll do this here. And Shannon would say, yeah. And then, okay. And she would be typing at the side and making the story. And you can see that upper sketch turned into this. And that next sketch turned into this. Oops.
It's unusual that the early sketches were really, like, we really nailed it early on.
We did. We got it really, really exactly the way we wanted it from a really early point.
I think it's amazing that page 49 is just exactly.
It is.
That's just exactly what it ended up being. That's fantastic. Well,
Anyway.
this has been a joy to work on, and we're working on 2 more. So we still have excuses to talk to each other all the time. That's a great thing about making a project with a friend, is you've got some reason to call them all the time and talk to them all the time about it. And we're doing so many books together that we
I have a question.
a question. Yes, down there.
I have a question. Yes,
Yes.
I have a question. Sorry, we have to pretend to be you guys because it's just the 2 of us on here. So I'm just pretending to be you. I'm going to guess one of you guys would ask this
with you in person. Yes, what's your question?
My question, Miss Hale, is why do you make picture books?
Oh, this is my very first picture book. So I have published 35 or so, or more than that, I think, of books. And most of my books don't have pictures in them at all. And my first books with any pictures at all were graphic novels, and then the Princess in Black series. And now I do a lot of other things with pictures, like Diana, Princess of the Amazons, which is a graphic novel about young Wonder Woman. But I never done a picture book until I just able to come up with just the right idea with my best friend. And that's the reason why I did it. Although I have read thousands of picture books in my life, I love them. I just never came across a story that was quite right for one. Yes, Wynn, why do you make picture books?
Oh, why do I make picture books? Let's see.
You made like 130 of them, so.
Yeah, I do nothing but picture books, it seems like. I've made over, I don't know the exact number. I know it's over 120. It's a little less than 130. That means, gosh, I do about 5 or 6 books a year. That's a lot of books. That's a lot of painting. And it means almost every day of my life, I'm doing a drawing of some sort. I'm going to show you guys some of my books. Do you guys know the Vampirina series on TV on Disney? Vampirina. She's my character. I came up with her. She's based on the books Vampirina Ballerina, which is so much fun to do. It started out as just a book on how to be a vampire ballerina. You know, you have to be really careful because you can't look in the mirror to check if you're doing the pose right, because you can't see yourself in the mirror. And you got to be really careful not to bite the other ballerinas. And you have to take night classes because you can't go out during the day. And there's a lot of problems that you run into being a vampire ballerina. This was another book I did just recently this year. It's called Outside Inside. And this was one of my favorite books to do. It is about the lockdown. It's about what happened to us this past year. And it sort of gives you a chance to figure out what happened this past year. And if you get a chance to read this book, I hope you sit with your teacher or your parent and you have a chance to look through the pictures and talk about what happened this past year, because really a lot happened. And I think one of my favorite books of all time, besides the books that I do with Shannon, is I was the illustrator of Bear Came Along, which won the Caldecott last year. This book I just love because it's about all of us being in this world together and sharing this world together. And it's one big journey in this world. And you're just happy to have a buddy to go along with it. So that's why I'm happy to have Shannon on the journey with me on so many of these books. Can I ask another question, Miss Shannon?
I was going to ask you a question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. You can ask me.
What do you use to draw the pictures?
Oh boy, I use everything. I use watercolors, I use pencils, I use pens, I use computer, I use gouache. Sometimes I use my fingers. One of these days, somebody's going to write a book for me, Miss Shannon Hale, that I can make out of clay and take pictures of it. Wouldn't that be cool? I would like to be known as the illustrator who used every medium in the world possible to her. I have a question for Miss Shannon Hale. Do you have a question? Yes. Miss Shannon Hale. What was your favorite book ever that you wrote yourself? And what was the favorite book ever that your favorite book that you didn't write yourself at all?
There were so many books that I think the books that I felt that I loved the most is when I was a kid, are the books that were most important to me in my whole life. And I remember when I was in 3rd grade reading Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White, and that becoming the first book that I was able to tell people, this is my favorite book. But then I read so many other books after that, that then I always had, like, every week I had a new favorite book because there were so many great books. The favorite book that I wrote, I can't choose. I have 4 kids and it feels like saying choose a favorite child because I just love them all in different ways. Some were easier to write, some were more fun to write. Kitty-Korn was the most fun to write that I've ever written, but some are harder. But even the ones that were not fun while I was writing them, because sometimes they're just hard work and you never know when you start a book if it's going to be just come out easily or if it's going to take a lot of revision and cutting and rewriting. You never know when you start it out how it's going to be, but I'm always really proud of how it turns out. What about you? Do you have favorites?
No, I asked that question because it's a mean question to ask. You can't pick your favorite book, right? That's just too mean to do. But I'm finding that the older I get, the more I really like working on books with my friends, and it's hard to find a good friend to kind of do it with. So Shannon is just, guys out there, if you have a best friend, like start writing stories now. Because Shannon wrote a story when she was in 5th grade, and I used to draw pictures when I was in 5th grade. And if we'd known each other in 5th grade, we'd have been doing this for like 30, 40 years now, right? And think of all the children's books that would be out there with our names all over it. I mean, there are
so many fun things you could do with friends. You could make movies, you know, you can make a movie with your friend. You can make a video game with your friend. You can make sculptures with your friend. You could do science projects with friends, and doing stuff with friends is just more fun.
Yeah, this was a book I made with my friend, and I'm so happy that we did it. And I hope you guys get a chance to go see it, to go get it. I hope we get to come out and meet you in real life and sign a book for you. And if we do, I'll make sure to draw a picture of a kitty inside each of the books for you. And Shannon will write her name. Maybe I'll teach her how to draw a kitty. Yay! Anyway, so thank you guys for having us, and really I hope Shannon, I get to see you pretty soon because it's been
I know. I hope our world opens back up and everything's safe and we can all travel and see each other again soon.
No. All right, everybody. Goodbye. Hearts.